The state of the creator economy is in flux. While 2020 and 2021 saw record-breaking numbers in terms of viewership, consumption, growth for creators, we're now facing threats that could flip the world of content creation upside down. From potential social media bans to algorithm changes to ever-present battles for ad revenue, buckle up, because as a red-footed lady once said, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're here in 2023, and in 2023, there are some worrying signs on the horizon, some very closely on the horizon. One of the biggest concerns is the resignation of Susan Wojiski, the CEO of YouTube. You've heard the headlines plenty of times already. She was employee 16 at Google. The company was headquartered in her garage in the early days. She was pivotal for the creation of the YouTube Partner Program, aka the way that YouTubers get paid for ads. But as somebody who worked at YouTube with Susan at the helm for a number of years, I am super sad to see her go, namely because she was always creator first. You see, YouTube is a multi-sided marketplace. There are creators, viewers, advertisers, and content owners. Think music labels and things like that. In order for YouTube to work, there is a certain delicate balance to keeping all of these parties happy. YouTube has done much better at this than I think any other platform, and I think it's really easy to give a lot of that credit to Susan's leadership. Now, Susan will be replaced by Neil Mohan, her longtime right-hand man. Neil is amazing, and I have full faith in his plan for the company, but he comes from the world of product, not necessarily creator first. Not only this, but the leadership team underneath Neil is also new, and they've all joined YouTube from the Google Ads side of the business. Remember that multi-sided marketplace I talked about? That means that many of the folks at the helm are on the advertising side of that delicate ecosystem. Now, that's not to say that they'll just forget about creators. I think the culture of YouTube as a whole is very creator first and does not depend on just a few people. I'd also be destined for a bunch of angry comments if I didn't mention the largest of looming specters, the economy. Needless to say, the economy is on the rocks. I mean, inflation is at its highest it's been in years, there are loads of uncertainty, banks are failing, and we're teetering on the edge of a potential recession. But aside from the obvious, what does that mean for creators? Well, one of the first things to go in economic uncertainty is advertising. We've already seen RPMs decrease in recent months as advertisers start to scale back some of their advertising budgets. Reduced ad budgets don't just mean income from the partner program, but also pressure on the platforms outside of YouTube to find new ways of making money in order to appease their shareholders. More on some of those concerns in just a moment. But that aside, economic uncertainty also leads companies to be cutting back on brand deals, a key income driver for many creators. For creators, a downturn like this is kind of like performing stand-up comedy in a room full of empty chairs. You might have the talent, you might have great content, but there's no advertising audience sitting there to appreciate it. On the other hand, this could also mean more money for performance advertising. You see, brand advertising, as in ads that don't have a specific sales metric associated with them, is typically what gets cut first. But performance advertising, which includes things like affiliate marketing or influencer marketing, this tends to stick around a little bit more in times of turmoil. On the flip side, this economic uncertainty could mean more freelance work for creators, since keeping creative teams on payroll is costly, but outsourcing on a project-by-project basis is a lot more cost-effective. One way I'm thinking about approaching this is by getting my affiliate links all sort of buttoned up. Links below if you want to check out any of the gear that I use for these videos. But I'd also highly recommend adding things like licensing, UGC, and freelance work to your repertoire if you have not already. And then of course there are the multitude of changes that have taken place to Twitter into recent months. I think there have been enough videos flooding your feed about everything going on Twitter, so I don't need to rehash those. But I do think that there is a key change that impacts creators, and that is the overall approach that Mr. Musk is taking to some of these changes. Up until this point, the entire internet has been built atop the back of advertising or subscriptions. Either you have a platform that's free to use, funded by advertising, such as YouTube or Facebook, or they have paid subscriptions, such as YouTube Premium or Spotify. You pay a monthly subscription, and in turn, you don't get ads. But now, Twitter is attempting to force us to do both. You pay for Twitter Blue, but you don't remove the ads. Creators then, therefore, not only become the product being sold to the advertisers, but also the customer that's being asked to fund the company as well. This is a bold strategy that is a departure from the way that we know the internet to operate, but more than anything, it's worrisome that other platforms may be emboldened to follow suit and do the same. And this brings us to everyone's favorite abusive relationship, Instagram. Like Twitter and YouTube, it's going through some changes on their own. Instagram is seemingly following Twitter's lead and testing a paid subscription for verification as well.
We're expanding the Meta Verified test to the US over the next couple of weeks.
Not only does this give you access to the coveted blue check mark, which will not be very coveted anymore, but you'll also get some impersonation monitoring, better access to customer support, and maybe potentially, but not right now, extra reach. It's still unclear how this will work, but the prospect of paying for organic reach is incredibly worrisome. Again, until this point, creators have been the ones that have been supplying the content upon which these companies have been selling ads and receiving enormous sums of money. Instagram brought in around $51 billion in revenue in 2022, but now we're being asked to essentially pay a fee to use the platform, all without receiving a cut of that $51 billion in revenue. Although the fee is a nominal $12.99 per month, the prospect of needing to pay to play is certainly concerning, especially when we're continuously being served up the never-ending buffet of monthly fees to run our business, keep up with the latest HBO series, and seeing all these platforms adopt this subscription model is no bueno. On the note of Instagram, I think the most egregious change that Instagram has made is that they are pausing and seemingly sunsetting their Reels bonus program. This comes precisely at the moment when the competition for short-form video is heating up. YouTube is launching their partner program for Shorts, which, although it's early days, is a huge step towards the monetization of short-form video. And yet Instagram is turning the other way. The Reels bonus program was not without its fair share of criticism. The payouts were microscopic. They never really released it beyond the US, and it wasn't a true revenue share program, but it was a step in the right direction. Rather than rewarding creators who are trying to earn a living and helping to drive that $51 billion in revenue, they punished them instead by suppressing their paid collaborations. And if all of this is starting to stress you out, I'd say the best way to combat any of these major changes is by simply improving your skills as a creator. And if you want to improve your photography skills, myself and Andrew Optics have recently reopened our registration for our Photography for Creators course. We have over 75 lessons, both in the field and in the studio editing, where we teach you everything we know about photography. However, we are only accepting new students through the end of this week, so click the link in the description to sign up before we close the doors. Now, TikTok is also going through a few pretty big changes. Of course, the looming possibility is that it will be banned in the US. I don't personally think that a full ban is the most likely scenario, but due to lobbying from the American tech giants and the overall tensions that the US has with China, I think it's possible that it could be a scapegoat for the larger geopolitical issue, and creators need to be prepared for that inevitability or possibility. On the surface, some of the threats to this type of thing are quite obvious. TikTok forward creators will lose their following and lose a substantial source of income from sponsorships or the creator fund. But there also are some second order effects that I think are a little bit less clear and a little less obvious. This could lead to a massive shift in the overall advertising landscape, which could maybe benefit things like RPMs here on YouTube, but it also could lead to a massive talent migration away from TikTok and to YouTube and Instagram. This leads to increased competition and potentially less viewership for each creator. And as someone who has around 700,000 followers on TikTok, I'm personally looking to migrate as many of those to other platforms as possible. I'm also working to further build my email list because no matter what happens to any of these platforms, my email list stays with me and it is always safe and sound. So that's something that I would highly recommend focusing on. These banning concerns aside, they're also making some changes that I think are worth taking special note of. And the main one is their creativity program that is being beta tested. But what is this program and why does it matter? Well, the key difference between this program and the Creator Fund is the length of content. In order for videos to be eligible for this creativity program, they must be original content and be over 1 minute in length. TikTok is definitely encroaching on YouTube's territory, so they're incentivizing longer form content, and that's a really clear way to accomplish this encroachment on YouTube. We've already started to see that longer form and higher production videos are being favored on the platform in recent months. So why this is a risk for creators is that it breaks what has been a golden era of short form video. Every platform, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Amazon, Pinterest, they are all attempting to push creators into the short form video game. Creators have been the real winners here. as it's really reduced the amount of production time that it takes to create content and share it across all platforms. But with 1+ minute videos becoming the new gold standard on TikTok, this means that TikTok native creators need to adjust their strategy to begin creating longer form content, and this could potentially turn into content that can't easily be ported to other platforms. So while this could mean more success on TikTok for those creators that do adapt, it means less overall reach across the broader ecosystem. So what does this mean for all of you, and how should you adapt to this ever-changing world? Well, the answer is in the question itself. You adapt. The only thing constant in life is change, and one of the best things about being a creator is that no 2 days really need to be the same. I myself will continue to diversify my revenue streams, commit to continued learning and testing out all of these new tools as they come about, and really just kind of enjoying the journey without getting too complacent. And if you want to enjoy the journey here with me on YouTube, consider subscribing, play thumb with the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.